Good afternoon, dear students. Today we will discuss the ethnic crisis in Sri Lanka. As the Sri Lanka is an island country in Indian Ocean, 80 kilometers away from the southern tip of India. It came, it got independence in 1948 from the imperialistic powers and became a republic in 1949. Sri Lanka was known by different names in different in times. For example, it is known as Topraban sometimes it was known as Serendip, and also it was known as the Senela, and sometimes it was known as Lanka, as is evident from the Hindu scripture, that is Gar ka bari Lanka dai, as it is a proverb in Hindi, and therefore we have the evidences of its name as Lanka. And till 1972 it was known as Ceylon. After the independence, the Sri Lanka it adopted the democratic system, though it was not a parliamentary system but a semi-presidential representative democratic republic, whereby the president is both head of the state as well as the head of the government and of multi-party system. And there was a youth insurgency in 1971 against the United Front government led by Shirima Bandaranaike, and this youth insurgency was crashed by the Shirima Bandaranaike, but could not deter the people. And in 1977, the general elections were held, and Junis Jayawardene became the prime minister. Immediately after becoming the prime minister, he replaced the constitution of 1972 and assumed both nominal as well as the real powers. And in this way, it became the semi-presidential, because both the nominal as well as the real powers was assumed by himself, by the Junis Vardhane, Jayawardene. And there were the crises known as the ethnic crisis. So far as the genesis of these crises is concerned, these crises were in Sri Lanka for a long time, and late 50s, these these crises they were launched in the Sri Lanka, as Jaffna province in northern Sri Lanka has a large concentration of Tamil people. It is close to the Tamil Nadu state of India. During the colonial rule, the British had taken a large number of plantation workers from Madras Presidency, presently known as the Tamil Nadu. Many others went on their own in search of employment. There were essentially two categories of Tamils in Sri Lanka. There are over 1 million whose forefathers went to Sri Lanka in ancient times. They are known as Ceylon Tamils. And another group, about 1 million, went to Sri Lanka in the 19th or early 20th century in search of employment. The ethnic problem Problems took a serious turn when Tamils began demanding a national homeland in an area of about 18,000 square kilometers in northern Sri Lanka. Initially, the struggle was peaceful. They agitated under the leadership of S.J.V. Kalvanayakam, Nayakam, Kalvanayakam. It was done under the banner of Federal Party. Later, its name was changed to Tamil United Liberation Front. Though the struggle was launched, which exploited the relations between India and Sri Lanka. Many attempts were made by both Indian government as well as the Sri Lankan government to resolve the issue, but for a long time they could not. As one of the most important attempt was made in 1964 through an agreement signed by Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri and Sri Lankan Prime Minister Mrs. Shirimo Bandaranaike. It sought to solve the problem of 9,75,000 stateless persons in Sri Lanka. The fate of remaining 1,50,000 people was to be decided later. An attempt at this solution was made in 74 by the two prime ministers Indira Gandhi and Sirimaru Bandaranaike. But this conflict it took the severe shape, or it became the severe in 1980s, or in the decade of 80s, when the ethnic conflict in Sri Lanka between Tamils and Sinhalese assumed serious proportions in 1983. It was described as ethnic explosion and the Sri Lanka carnage. It has already been explained that Tamils in this Sri Lanka belong to two categories. As earlier I told you, the Ceylon Tamils and the Indian Tamils, whose forefathers were taken by the British as plantation workers in the 19th century. The Ceylon Tamils are mostly concentrated in Jaffna and on the northern and eastern coast, while the Indian Tamils live mostly in the districts of Colombo. The serious violence occurred between the two communities in 1956, 58, and again in 1977. The Tamil United Liberation Front demanded in 1988 a separate homeland for Tamils. The Tamil Alam. Alam means state. The Tamil Alam. The Tamil Tigers resorted to violence and became a militant organization. As there were these militant organizations like Liberation Tamil Tigers Alam, another was Tamil United Liberation Front, and another militant organization that was Janata Vimukta Paramuna. Janata Vimukta Paramuna. These were the militant organization, and this LTTE, Liberation Tamil Tigers, it was banned or it was recognized as a terrorist group in 32 countries. In the last week of July 1983, all hell broke loose after the reporting killing of 13 soldiers by Tamil Tigers. The army retaliated by indiscriminate killing and torture of the Tamils. And once again, the governments of India as well as the government of Sri Lanka tried to resolve this issue, as the President Jonas Jayawardene said that India was sheltering and helping the terrorists. India not only denied the allegations of its involvement, but the government also educated caution within the country. Though India conveyed to Sri Lanka that it condemned all violence against the innocent, defenseless people, India at the same time condemned terrorism in all forms. The violence during 1983 to 86 turned about more than 2 lakh people homeless. Though some concessions were given in 1986. What were these concessions? Like, just see. The Tamil language was recognized, and also the applications were invited for the citizenship, and 81 lakh applications were received in 15 years. But all the applicants were not given the citizenship of the Sri Lanka, but only 34 lakh people were given citizenship of Sri Lanka, and 2.34 lakh got Indian citizenship, and the rest of the people, they were crashed, they were involved in militancy, they either hold the weapons or they were exiled or they took refuge in other countries. Because of this violence, 2 lakh Tamils turned to be refugees as they lost their homes. Thousands were killed and wandered. About 25,000 refugees came to India. Many others went to Southeast Asia, and many others they went to Western countries. Indians were naturally sympathetic to the plight of Tamils in Sri Lanka. Several steps were initiated by both the governments to restore normalcy in the island. As it is evident from the efforts of the Miss Indira Gandhi, who held a prolonged negotiations with the President Jayawardene, and also she helped the Sri Lankan government in resolving the issue. But after the death of the Indira Gandhi, the Rajiv Gandhi also made many steps, as is evident from the Raju Jayawardene Agreement 1987. An attempt was made by the Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi to help Sri Lanka find a solution to the ethnic violence. The Tamils were very hostile to the Sri Lankan security forces, who were allegedly trying to eliminate them. It appeared that as a confidence building measure, Indian troopers would succeed in handling the situation. On the invitation of Sri Lankan government, Rajiv Gandhi paid a 2 days visit to Colombo. He and President Jonas Jayawardene signed an agreement to provide for Indian peacekeeping force. Indian peacekeeping force. And this peacekeeping force was sent to Sri Lanka in order to restore normalcy in the strict areas. In accordance with the Raju Jayawardene agreement, hundreds of thousands Indian troopers were sent to Sri Lanka for maintenance of peace. However, the agreement was opposed by the Sri Lankans on two grounds. On the ground that the India is interfering in the internal affairs of the Sri Lanka, and also the sending of the Indian peacekeeping force to Sri Lanka was criticized in India too, because the same Indians were fighting against the same Tamil tigers. They were also the Indians or Indian origin. So we can say, in other words, one brother was fighting against the another brother. Both the brothers were fighting in the territory of Sri Lanka. On this allegation, or on this reality, on this fact, this peacekeeping force of India sent by the Rajiv Gandhi, sent by Congress government, was criticized. And what was the result of this sending of peacekeeping force to Sri Lanka? In India, the Rajiv Gandhi, he was assassinated. In 1991, during the run up to the Lok Sabha elections, former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated in an alleged human bomb explosion. The murder of Rajiv Gandhi was allegedly the result of the conspiracy by certain elements involved in the Sri Lankan ethnic conflict. Because the Rajiv Gandhi, he decided to send the troopers to Sri Lanka. They fought there, and in 1990, March 1990, because of the pressure of the opposition parties in India, Rajiv Gandhi pulled out them, or decided to pull its troopers out. All the Indian troopers were recalled back, and in during the election campaigns, the Rajiv Gandhi, he was assassinated. And it was the Chandraika Kumaratunge who became the prime minister of Sri Lanka, and then the president of Sri Lanka in 1994. She visited India in March 1995. A better understanding was reached between the two countries on the handling of ethnic violence and terrorism. Sri Lanka continued to face a secessionist movement led by Liberation Tamil Tigers of Tamil, or LTTA, Liberation Tamil Tigers, LM. Late in 1999, the problem again flared up in a civil war like situation between LTTs and its Tamil supporters on one side and government forces on the other side. The Tigers had been thrown out, thrown out of Jaffna by the army in 1995. By 1999, they had regrouped themselves, and in 2000, they overran key Sri Lankan military posts, including the strategic Elephant Pass that links Jaffna and the mainland. About 25,000 men of army in elite division had to struggle against determined LTTE fighters, about 7,000 in strength. And in these killings of this killings in the Sri Lanka, also the killing of senior minister of Kumaratunga's government by a suicide bomber. President Chandrika Kumaratunga herself was attacked, in which one of her eyes was severely damaged. International community, particularly India, was keen in early solution of the problem, even as Tamil Tigers were talking of partition of Sri Lanka and creation of Tamil Elam. After the 2005, 2006, the Sri Lankan government, it waged a full-fledged war against the Tamils or Tamil Tigers. And Tamil Tigers, they were eliminated in 2009. And their leader, the Prabhakaran, he was killed. And this moment, it was crashed in 2009. For over 25 years, the war caused significant hardships for the population, environment, and the economy of the country, with an initial estimated 80,000 to 1 lakh people were killed during its course. After 2010, the democracy in Sri Lanka sought to record public perspective on democracy in Sri Lanka. Today, and the findings are presented under four keys. These were the new government, security, freedom, and trust in institutions. And in this way, the Sri Lankan problem, or we may say the ethnic crisis, they came to an end in 2009. And after 2009, there is the smooth functioning of democracy in Sri Lanka. इंशाल्लाह फर्दर वी विल डिस्कस इन दे अनदर वीडियो. तब तक के लिए इजाज़त दीजिए. खुदा हाफिज़.